Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of my Japan Travel Diary series. So if you caught my last episode, you'd probably know that we spent the night at the Uminpia Hotel in Fukui. So to start off the day, we headed down to the bathhouse at the hotel again to enjoy a nice morning bath. After which we enjoyed an amazing buffet breakfast at the Uminpia Hotel, which was coupled with this really nice view. We all ended up eating quite a lot, as you do when it's a buffet. I was also fascinated by the chopsticks that they had there, which you can actually buy if you want a pair. After breakfast, we checked out of the hotel and headed just across the road to check out the Erugaia Nuclear Power and Technology Museum. So we actually had way more fun here than I thought we would. It started out with a bit of a documentary on nuclear power in this cinema that they had, but you weren't allowed to film in there. Although it was all in Japanese, so I understood almost none of it. Although just afterwards they did have all these diagrams that were made for kids to show how different forms of energy generation work. These were definitely much more my speed, if I'm honest. As we headed further into the museum, we eventually came to this room that looked like we were inside of a spaceship. Also, it is worth mentioning that entry into this museum is completely free, and so were all of the interactive games that they had inside this spaceship room. This one here was really fun. You had to use these controls to move this arm and grab these balls. Then you had to carefully try and place them on these little notches before the time runs out. You gotta open it and then move down further to grab it. Yeah, now move up a little bit, grab, now move it around. Let go. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Let go. Yes. My wife unfortunately didn't get all three set. I also failed on my first attempt. I did end up giving it another go and I did beat it, but unfortunately I did forget to film it, I think. You gotta beat my score.
はいやばい
せっかくいいとこまで行ってたのに。
早く5、4、3、2、1。おお。
いけたよ。
This next game was a little bit more confusing at first. You had to utilize multiple different views to land multiple different platforms on top of each other.
おおやばい
My wife ended up going first again, and she did not do too great on her first attempt. But to be fair, there was kind of a lot that you had to pay attention to get this game right. I also ended up having the advantage by watching her do it, so I could kind of learn what to do.
あーわかるわかるわかるわかる
これジョイスティック。
はいはいはい
手動ボタンを押してんの
おお
ゼロ。
ゼロ判定 D
これは難しい。
オッケー
これ多分できると思うよ。
うん
よし。お、うまいうまい。お、うまいうまいうまいうまい。オッケー。トム、うまいうまい。うまいうまい、これうまいうまい。ああ。うまいうまいうまい。おお。おお。できた。これから今から。
I actually thought I did really well, but apparently not good enough due to taking a little bit too long to land the platforms.
あ、P。
P はい
My wife ended up giving it another shot, and she ended up matching my score. It was definitely a lot easier once you actually knew what to do.
おー
This next game was a little bit more simple. You kind of just had to use these little aliens to repair the ship. My wife ended up doing really good on this one and got a B rank on her first shot.
おー
So I was determined to do better on this one.
早い。多分これは A だろう。
But I didn't.
え
The last game in here was by far the coolest one, which had kind of like a whole cockpit that you got to sit in. You pick a ship which determines the difficulty of the game. My wife ended up going first again because it's kind of just easier if she does it and then explains the controls to me, because they're all in Japanese.
Why'd you
主
pick
電
that
源の
one?
スイッチをオンにしてください。
It's not beginner, but it's easier.
Although the controls on this game definitely felt really good, much more like playing a game.
エンジンを始動させてください。オンにしてください。右手で操縦桿を持ち、左手のスロットルレバーを前方へいっぱい押してください。まもなく離陸します。離陸いたしました。
We didn't know when my wife started that the flight controls on this one were actually inverted.
あーダメ
基準ルートへ誘導いた
which was a little bit unexpected and is why she flew completely off course.
Up, down, and down, up. Yeah, it is. So push it up to go down. No. Push this. Yeah, push it forward to go down. Yeah.
これ難しいこれは。
You the better.
I ended up picking the hardship because I was confident in my ability to play games like this one. I did have a couple of hiccups along the way because I was trying to rush it a little bit too much.
違うよ頑張って。
目的の高度に達しました。
But I quickly found out why this was the hard mode. I mean, who would have thought that there would be wind in space?
強い太陽風の影響を受けて
おーい
船体が右に押し流されています。
Wind. Yeah, wind is blowing
慎重
you.
に操縦桿を操作してください。
頑張って。You're blown away.
It definitely caught me off guard. To be honest, I thought I did really bad on this one, though I did make it all the way to the end.
チェポイント L2 へ到着いたしました。
Yay!
操縦に切り替わります。
うまい。
難しい。
Good。うまいね。
全部難しい。
終わった。
And to my surprise, I ended up getting an A rank. After spending way more time at the Erugaia Oi Museum than we thought we would, we headed to a nearby place in Obama in Fukui. This seaside restaurant was called Hamanoshiki. The seafood at Hamanoshiki was so fresh and the staff were really nice. I ended up picking the salmon, which had both raw as well as lightly seared salmon that was farmed right here in Fukui. This was honestly one of the best salmon dishes I think I've ever had. All the meals were really big as well. We did end up sharing a little bit of everything, and really, they were all so good. After lunch, we headed just across the road from the restaurant to the Miketsukuni Wakasa Obama Food Culture Museum. So admission into this museum is also free. They had a lot of really cool handmade souvenirs here for sale, such as these cute key rings. They also had a few really nice chopsticks. They also had some chopsticks. They had some cute kids' toys, as well as some chopsticks. And they even had chopsticks. In all seriousness though, they had so many really nice chopsticks here made with seashells that really made them sparkle and looked quite elegant. But the real reason to come to this museum is for the craft section. You can join in on a few different classes to try your hand at designing these welcome family nameplates, which are pretty common on Japanese homes instead of having a house number. Or you could try your hand at making realistic display food out of wax, which I still can't believe how realistic they get these to look.
This lettuce looks so crazy. The lettuce.
Look, so cabbage.
レタスが一番簡単だよね。やるときに。真ん中はね、ローとかするのに80度とか熱くなっているので気をつけてください。
Or you could take part in the final step of the chopstick making process, which is polishing, turning chopsticks from plain to wow. Downstairs, they had some small displays set up of old Japanese rooms, as well as some fake display foods. Honestly, it was a good thing that we came here after eating because I am quite hungry now. After the museum, we headed along the coast to a nearby area known as the Nishigumi District of Obama in Fukui. In the old days, sailors and passengers would leave their ships behind at the nearby port for the welcoming warmth of many restaurants, inns, tea houses, and other establishments that lined the streets of Nishigumi. The local government has made an effort to retain the classic architecture from that time. And although many of the buildings are now private residence, there are still a variety of really nice guest houses, cafes, and restaurants ready to treat visitors. We ended up stopping off at this really nice small cozy cafe called Café Bonkura Sanchomachi.
I filmed.
It may not look it, but it was so warm and toasty inside, which made it feel really welcoming, especially coming in from outside because the wind was really strong and quite cold on this day. I really liked the old design of the interior, coupled with the dim lighting. The atmosphere in here was so cozy that I almost ended up taking a nap even while drinking coffee. We also ended up getting some cake as well. After a little coffee break, we continued exploring the Nishigumi District. We ended up coming to this really old looking house that offered a historical tour, which was actually super interesting because this wasn't just any old house. In the Meiji era, this used to be an establishment for entertainment. For any anime fans out there, think the Entertainment District arc in Kimetsu no Yaiba. So this house is called Hōtōrō. Right as we entered, the guides of the establishment explained the proper way in which the head lady would hold her pipe when greeting customers.
なかなか難しい。
ダメ。
手を出し上を向きます。中指と親指で竿を挟みます。指の先。そしてここら辺でね。そして2本も下へ支えましょう。ここを支えるんです。そう。そして手首を下げるんです。
手首下げて。
肘じゃない。
手首を下げて。肘は上げるの。で手首下げても火が落ちる火がそう。いいね。
After which, they started showing us around the house. The first room had this really old safe, which used characters instead of numbers. This room used to be used as the main living room of the family who lived here in more recent years.
難しい歴史の話しません。あれでしょ。
We then made our way up this narrow staircase to the next room. This room had this really nice little balcony space that overlooked the streets below. I could only imagine how amazing it would have looked from here at night in the Meiji era when the streets were all lively. We then headed to the next room, which honestly was like a work of art. It had such a beautiful design and it was really well preserved. The large adjoining room had a big table in the middle for guests. This table is original and handmade out of one piece of wood.
And handmade.
The guests would sit around this table while drinking and having a meal, and they would watch the girls perform and play the shamisen, which is a Japanese stringed instrument. After which, they would pick their favorite girl and move to this smaller private room.
障子だけ。
ガラス。はい、ここは障子。
寒いよ。
寒いからガラスをつけたの。昭和になってから。
それまでは。
開けっぱ。こちらが別荘。こちらは個人の布団。ここ。個人のもんですか。
布団それ入ってる。
The fabric and it comes here.
Looking around at how beautifully designed this building is, you probably wouldn't have guessed what it was used for in the past. The larger room also had a lot of really nice old decorative pieces in it.
本職は職人さん。こうやって削っていくんや。
The little shoji shutters were really well designed and they were able to make different patterns.
すごいねこれ。
飽きないでしょここ。
組み合わせがすごい。いやすごいなと思って。
Along the top of the room was this really long art piece that had many birds on it. After the men had had a lot to drink, they would test them by getting them to count how many birds are on there. I could imagine that this would be quite difficult after a few drinks. Even without drinking, apparently most people don't get it right.
You can't get it right.
In fact, I was wrong by the way, and my wife was the only one there who actually got the correct answer.
正解ありません。
No one gets right today.
On the way to the next room, we headed down this hallway. The windows along here were all handmade. I honestly have no idea how someone would be able to make glass like this by hand. It definitely sounds like it would have been a lot of work.
これ割れたらもう作りようありません。今日の増築です。
ここは大正。
はい。
At the end of the hallway, we made our way back downstairs to head to the next room. The next room had a really good view of the garden, and the glass on these windows was also handmade.
これ吹きガラス。風船のように膨らして作っていくガラス。
Looks like rain.
だから。
Now, it may not be very noticeable, but the glass here also is not flat. Due to this, it kind of creates a little bit of distortion, just slightly, and to me, kind of makes it look like there's rain running down the windows. This glass is also really thin at just 1 millimeter. It's so thin that it kind of looks like my fingers are touching together. Apparently, this glass is also really expensive to buy. The room across from the garden also seemed like it was a piece of art, with some incredibly well-designed shoji doors and windows, one of which was kind of like an optical illusion where it kind of looks different depending on the angle that you're looking at it from. You can see here that the pattern seems to change as you move through the room. This house may have a bit of a shady past, but there's no denying just how beautifully designed it is. I should also mention that entry and the guide is also free, although they do accept donations, and that's because the guides are volunteers. The city actually rents the home from the current owners, and that is to try and keep the history alive.
Like city over the public is renting this place from the owner.
Okay.
And then they are volunteers, so that's why it's free of charge.
So cool. After we finished exploring the Nishigumi District a little bit more, we ended up heading back to my wife's parents' place. So it was a bit of a drive getting back there, so we did end up stopping off for a quick dinner at Hachiban Ramen. So that's it for this episode of my Japan Travel Diary series. I really do hope that you enjoyed this video because I really do feel that exploring the countryside of Japan is really the best way to experience what Japan has to offer. Anyways, I hope to see you all in the next episode. Bye for now.